Crusades reach our lands, and from nowadays German areas, the Crusaders came and conquered the south of Estonia. And about 10 years later, from the north came the Danish Crusaders. So they conquered the north along with Tallinn. So the old town of Tallinn that we will see on this tour as well was founded back then in 13th century by the Danes. But in 14th century, there's this big peasant uprising in Estonia, and frankly, the Danes get sick of us, and they're getting quite poor, so they sell our lands to the German order. So in 14th century, also Tallinn and the north goes under the order's rule for about 2 more centuries. But in 16th century, a Russian Tsar, Ivan the Terrible, maybe you've heard of this guy. Ivan invades Estonia, but since it's quite a precious piece of land back then, 3 other countries entered the war. So there was Sweden, there was the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and there was Denmark, who sold us earlier, now suddenly wants back in. And they all go into war here, and the Russian Empire, who started the war, actually loses and leaves our territory, but the 3 other remain. So on a very small piece of land, we have 3 different kings ruling. But of course, someone has to get greedy, right? Has to want some more. So I'll give you a chance to guess. What do you think? Was it Sweden, Denmark, or the Polish-Lithuanians who went ahead and conquered some more? Denmark? Swedes, yeah. Okay, then shall we trust the Estonian on this one? I think we should, because it was the correct answer. So if you're thinking or you said Sweden, well done. Indeed, in 17th century, they conquered the rest of the country. So all of our lands goes under the Swedish rule until 1710, when another Russian Tsar, this time Peter the Great, invades Estonia, and he's successful. So by 1710, he's more or less conquered the whole country. And then we go into the Russian Empire for about 2 centuries. But of course, in 1917, the Russian Revolution happens, right? And it's kind of confusing times in the empire, and kind of in the winds of it, also Estonia manages to declare independence. So on 24th of February 1918, we declare independence for the first time. We're Estonia. Now, what do you guys think? How long that lasts? Yeah, Estonians are not allowed to answer. 18 hours, 6 months?
To the Second World War.
Till the Second World War. Good. Well, it's a bit interesting situation, because you had a very good guess. I will explain why. But in reality, yes, it was 18 hours, more or less. Yeah. So I guess you knew that. You didn't just think we're so pathetic. So yeah, it was more or less 1 day. How it was literally was that when they were declaring independence in Tallinn, they declared in 2 places. In Pärnu for the first time, that's a city in the south, and then they declared it also in Tallinn the next day. And when they were declaring independence in Tallinn, the enemy troops were already in Tallinn. That's how close it was. And it sounds a bit strange, why just 18 hours, but it was because it was World War I, and the Russians were retreating from here, and at the same time the Germans were coming in. But between them two, we had this gap of 1 day of nobody. So we declare independence, the Germans come in, but they lose World War I, right? So in November 1918, Germany leaves our territory, and then we can say that we can continue on being Estonia. So it was actually quite clever, but this is what we want to do. But right after the World War I ends, we go into war with now Soviet Russia. So it was literally about 2 weeks when we had peace here, and then straight into war with Soviet Russia. And somehow we managed to win this war, so that in 1920 we can peacefully go on being Estonia. And this time for longer. So when you said until World War II, perfect guess, because we stay independent until 1940, when World War II is happening, and in 1940 we get the Soviets here for a year until 41, when Nazi Germany is doing well in the war, so they occupy us for a couple of years until 1944, when the Soviets come back again. So 3 times this change of power during the Second World War, and the Soviets decide to stay until 1991. When on 20th of August 1991, in the winds of the Soviet Union collapsing, we declare independence for the second time. So now we are independent for almost 28 years, right? So of course, if you do the math, it's a record. So thank you. And it has been really good. We're in NATO, in the EU since 2004, and generally we've developed really, really quickly. So I dare say we are nowadays almost a proper European country. So that